we stand tall. Words of blades that never fall, debated warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. In the ring we stand tall. Words of blades that never fall, debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean. Spirited, mind sharp and keen. With a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by law. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts clean. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena, there's no chance to escape the fight by law. Dive in deep and search for more. In the ring we stand tall. Words are blades that never fall. Debate like warriors brave. Every thought we give and save. Through the noise we cut clean. Spirited minds sharp and keen. With a spark that lights the night. Join us in this epic fight. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Buckle up and take your stance. In this arena there's no chance to escape the vibrant lore. Dive in deep and search for more. From heartfelt talks to fierce debates, we explore what fate creates. Side by side we seek the light. In the dark our minds ignite. Welcome to the Spartan Arena, where minds clash and thoughts gleam. In the heat of every word, truth and insight will be heard. Heard. Will be heard. Will be heard.
Spartans! What is your profession?
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it with another episode, another stream. Of course, you know where you are at Spartan Institute Network. I am your host, the Spartan, aka Peter. Can't do this by myself. But before we get into the show, unfortunately, I have to report. How can I put this in a good way? I have to break some bad news to everybody. A legend has left us today. He was an icon, a a person that cursed more than me. You liked his music, you hated his music, it doesn't matter. He left a legacy behind us. Ozzy Osbourne has passed today. I was shocked to hear that because I was a fan of his music. Not all of it, but I was a fan. Definitely love the show he did, his family. Can't remember the name of the show. But let's get David up here, see what he had to say on this. Go ahead, David.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? When I heard the news, I had mixed emotion, mixed review because let's be real, Ozzy Osbourne one the icon in the rock industry.
Correct.
He laid down a foundation that many other rock stars idolize and look up to him in many ways, shape, and fashion. Don't get me wrong, the kind of music that he make did inspire not just only him but a lot of great horror movies and or thriller movies in a way unheard of. So if anything, he considered to be a Hall of Famer. So hearing that he passed away, the first thing comes to my mind is his son and his daughter, not his wife, but his son and his daughter, because he have a very unique influence on both of them in a very unique way. I remember watching that show, that reality show, they still showcase their family dynamic. It may be weird and twisted based on what they went through in life and in history. There's no such not a perfect family, so let's make that super clear. But you can almost tell just watching that they look up to their father in a lot of ways for the type of character he is. So I can really agree that that's a big deal. I also know, yeah, yesterday Malcolm Jamal Warner also passed away, but which I was told and informed about it, and that was heavy because you got two icons who passed away. One left a severely huge impact in the black community. That's a person that anyone can firmly agree. This man was a icon of positivity because you will love him from the Cosby Show. You will love him on many other shows he have done after that. In the movies he have done, the impact. The guy was a very positive, well-spoken individual. And when you lose both icons in different genre, Malcolm was the kind of guy that you can relate to, the guy who had to compete with his parents' shadow in the show called The Cosby. But the episode he had with his father was not only timeless, it was classy. Though was a type of show that it give a lot of men who want to be better father to their son, how they can sit down and have that type of conversation with their son. So that you want to pass the truck, but you want to make sure you equip your son in the right direction. Ozzy wasn't a perfect dad, but you can also tell he had that same type of impact in his son and his daughter as well. And the lose two icons back to back. Whew, I don't know what to explain to you guys. This
This
is
is a
not
double
normal.
whammy, diamond whammy for the pop culture world because you got a great actor and one of the most incredible, craziest
Yeah,
performers.
even his ex, I can imagine the amount of pain because Anyone who has spoken to him or been around him, he have that level of positivity about him that makes you want to network with him, pick his brain, see how he thinks, see how
Which
he.
one are we talking about? First of all, you got me confused here.
I'm talking about Michael Jamal Warner.
Okay, thank you.
That
Because
he was that type.
we're talking about two
No,
different people. You got to be more specific.
Adi was a genius on the music genre that you can pick his brain on. This guy was more on another level. Michael Jamal Warner was another level.
One thing I
Whereby,
can say about Ozzy, and it's been reported, they haven't reported why he passed yet, but they did say he was surrounded with it around his wife, wife, and two daughters. I think he had only one. Um, but
he had
when
a
he
son.
passed, yeah, he says his son, wife, son, and two daughters. I thought he only had one daughter. I was wrong on that.
Mm.
But it's confirmed. Also, he was been fighting with stage 2 Parkinson's disease for several years. He's also was addicted to drug abuse and alcohol
Hmm.
abuse.
And that
So
was
all
that
that was raw
that
in his
I was aware of that because even though when he got older, he was getting sober and everything. I always knew whatever you do in your 20s, if you're not careful, come back to haunt you.
the funny thing is, if you listen to his music early years and later, his voice has changed so much.
Hmm.
And the
Yeah.
way he was acting towards on the show, the Osbournes,
Hmm.
the guy was fucking hilarious.
Now, it's funny. I like his comedy, his sense of comedy. It did make you want to laugh at him, and I respect the guy. But when it comes to Malcolm, there's a time that I had to laugh when he said it. I can't believe it. I haven't done a comedy show in years, and I still don't get the love that I get. I still get type. But the thing that he knows that show was iconic for what it is because the role he played, a lot of men related to that. A lot of black, strong, grounded men related to that because they understand intelligence is not one-sided. He represented a group of men who do not fit the mold of United States public education, whereby they're so one-track minded. They didn't understand how people learn things. They're multifaceted. It's not one way. One Clock Academy figured that one out. Shout out to One Clock Academy in Georgia. They figured out that formula of how to educate people so they can observe the knowledge and the information so they can achieve to the next level. The American public education system never cared for what Theo did from his acting, for his role that he played in multiple. It showed the level of growth.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. The Luton 2 icon with so much knowledge and
You know
so
what's
many different gifts.
ironic about losing Ozzy? 3 weeks ago on the 5th,
Hmm.
because he's also part of Black Sabbath. I don't know if you knew that.
I'm aware of that band. That is a band I'm afraid to listen to.
But he also did a performance 3 weeks ago,
Mm.
and now he's not with us.
Now, imagine that they showed a video of what he did live before for Malcolm before he passed away the next day.
Yeah.
And that would come. And I didn't want to watch it because I don't want to. I am a rugged, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a rugged old school kind of guy. I don't do well with the modernization of black men. When I'm saying I'm rugged, I got rugged hands, which is hard enough to rub on hardwood to make it smooth. I don't got baby hands, so that will let you know. Yeah, I try my best to make it smooth, but it doesn't work. It used to be way worse than this. I could smooth wood with the hand before. I got store paper hand. How about that? But looking at what Malcolm represents, he was an icon in a way that push you want to strive for better, regardless of whatever roadblock you have to go through in life. He does that. That's why I say he's an icon that's going to be heavily missed. His co-actor on one of the comedy shows he did right after the Cosby Show, I'm sure he's gonna miss him, even though they have beef at a time. He's gonna recognize this guy what a a cool dude. Anyone I work with, Michael Jamal Warner would tell you he not that regular person that you don't want to walk with. You want to have his number, so you want to pick his brain. How will you feel about this role? Should I take this role? A lot of the roles he take was very respectful role that showed his range, his character. He had that that grit.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of men who show that authentic, what a real man supposed to be character. There's too
No, I don't
many.
disagree one bit, David, but
I know
they left, they left an impact with us. Let's
dude,
remember them for the good, not for the bad. I always
dude,
say.
I didn't feel good when I heard about that news. I didn't want to think about it because I love this dude, a respected dude, and I love the work he put out.
Yeah.
And he in this one, I was thinking about his son and his daughter because you watch this guy, when he had the reality show, you can tell this guy genuinely, and I mean, this is not faking, genuinely love his kids.
Oh yeah. I know his one daughter. That I
Doesn't want to show
assume
her face.
I'm sorry.
Don't want to show her face to the public because she came behind the scene. The other
Yeah.
one was more out there. She was on a different talk show. The other one just want to be quiet because she want to have a
Yeah.
private
I
life.
actually, I'm reading as I'm talking about it, and like I didn't know he had a second daughter, so that makes sense. But that says, let's get into the show now. So we're talking about when your ex is still on your mind. So Dave, I want to give you a little feedback where I came with his mind. All right, I made it publicly. Well, I was with a woman for 3.5 years, very abusive relationship, physical and verbally. So the relationship ended. We moved on our ways.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I thought about it at first. I was in love with a woman, obviously.
Uh-huh.
Fast forward 3.5 years, and I think I told you this in private
Did
conversation
I believe you did.
that she reached out to me after 3.5 years. Ironic, isn't it? She's
Hmm.
married. She moved to Texas. Yada yada yada. And I talked to CQ about this. I talked to you too, but CQ goes to me. So, what is a married woman that is your ex calling you? So I ended up even having another conversation with another boy of mine who actually met her too. My boy Dimitri. He goes, "She's not over you, buddy. She's still in love with you." I go,
Yeah, Wally. Oh Lord. Yeah, I know.
Most likely she would never admit that because she's not the type of woman to admit anything she's wrong about. I want to leave that as my open thoughts. So, Dave, I'll give you the panel for a minute. Go ahead.
Thinking about ex that you dated in the past. I had a couple. Someone would I try my hardest best to reformat my memory and not think about them ever again. To be quite honest, how would I put this? Watching my son watching The Flash, making me wish I could go back in time and create a flashpoint whereby I never met none of my ex at all. How about that?
That better, huh?
It's that bad. I was telling myself, this is why I say I hate to be locked up in my own head. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna let you know my mindset. I'm a very logical thinker. I can be very rational. Sometimes I blame myself for not letting my principle come forward and stand firm, but do too much compromise, trying to compromise and get a middle point.
Mm-hmm.
At that age, my age of 46 right now, if I can redo everything all over again, actually I stand firm like a titanium steel wall and say F your views and stand on my point hardcore. What I've observed for good 30 years. And I realized you are far better off sticking with the principles that will guide your life in the right direction than compromise with people who are not beneficial to your growth in life. That's where I'm at in my life right now because as I think and I look back, it's ironic when you do a little bit too much, you invested too much, you being faithful, forthcoming, straightforward, no sidetracking. You get backed out, be betrayed, lied on to, they play a mind game with you. Why do you think you have this ridiculous sexist what we have in the social media space? No, let be real frank. If I take the topic will cause me to say certain things that I really don't care if I hurt your feelings, ladies and gentlemen. It did prove a point whereby the so-called idea of today dating is a completely waste of time. That being said, all you ladies without a father figure in your life, you are considered to be a severe liability. Meaning, if there's no father figure who can vet the guy you are dating, your vetting skill sucks to hell. All these wannabe dating gurus who are out there because I hate to say it, they are genius making money off a bunch of retarded idiots who cannot think clearly that you're being bamboozled, but yet you still go for it like a moth going to the light and getting zapped. What we have in today's society is not even a cesspool. It's not even a mud pool. I'm sorry to say this. Not even a radioactive suit can save you from this mess if when they get involved in, to be quite honest with you. That's why I say what I said right now, because yes, acts are act, but sometimes acts are memory you don't want to remember. To me, I blame myself. I beat myself before anyone can beat me. To why did I let my principal not take control, but yet you want to make a compromise? I understand in relationship, you want to make a compromise. I get it. But as you look at history and biology, shout out to Actor Butter Podcast. He have been doing his round, breaking down the mystery that a lot of you have been aware of, but it's kind of like it's on both ends. So believe me when I say that if I could go back in time, I would have kept to myself and just stay on my journey. If the person who really want to be in my program, willing to follow my program, they will come along with it and do that, and that would have been great. And I hate to say, Anton was correct when he said that. Just the only guy, even though you may not like what he said, they focus on your program. They focus on your journey. If she's the real one, she wants to join you on your journey and not be a gold digger, but also want to help and build with you. Not trying to be a backseat driver where you want to press the ejection button and see how far they will fall on their forehead. Pun intended. Because these days, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what I'm observing, I'm being frank with you guys. I'm getting to the place where I'm just so numb to the bullshit. I am beyond numbed. When I say numbed, it's like when I see people make their argument, the nerves out of me coming out too much to the point where I'm analyzing your whole argument and your wording. What sense are you making? And I ask myself, do you have every right to be selfish and make excuse and path blame and not be held accountable for your effort that you contribute? Like seriously, that is something I've been trying to come. I'm like, okay, hold up, what's this all about?
Mm-hmm. I did. Hang
Because
on a second. Let's get Wally in here.
uh,
That's never gonna stick.
I know.
Never gonna stick.
What's going on, Wally?
The usual. Uh, I'm not gonna stay too long. Just gonna make some quick statement on this.
Okay.
Cause I gotta wait for my brother to come here. But um, so pretty much I'll say this right, just for the general of if an ex were to ever consider is thinking about you for whatever reasons whatsoever. Well, there's multiple things to it. It could be there's a resentment of regret, and she knows this, right? Or he, whoever that may be on either side. There's a resentment of regret, and then on usual terms, in some cases, and this is very very thinly because certain people just meet up at the wrong given time of their lives. You probably were in this relationship with this particular person. It was bad timing, but it's the right person, but it was just bad timing. And they're coming back around not because of anything of any wrongdoing or anything, but they're just trying to make up for the wrong times that was implicated at that point. And surprisingly enough, this person could be the person that you're supposed to be with. It was just bad timing when you guys meet up, and it just ended. It just was what it was at that point. You know, like you probably were in the right state of mind. The other person wasn't, but you know they're trying to prove themselves. Like they try to come back, you know, play it smooth. They're trying to prove themselves that they can be responsible in this relationship with you if you give them that opportunity, however it may be, and everything else of that nature, right? So there's two sides to it, right? There's those that know they fucked up and they're trying to make amends, and then there's those that fuck up and then they just know they just fucked up. And they're just keeping tabs because for whatever reasons. Right. In this case, for me, more than anything else, I'm just more talking about the opposite side of the notion. Yes.
Are you trying to keeping tab and see, making sure you don't do better than them in that kind of way?
Pretty much. That's the side of the everyday person that just can't resemble the fact that you let them go. Give or take, one or the other. I don't know.
Then they just jump off the bridge and just mind their business. Now. That's my point of view. I'm in that.
Visuals, man. Visuals.
I know. I'm on that scorch earth, screw you, nuke you, choose a bridge to jump off kind of mindset.
Yes, and I'm on the other side of the notion of, hey, look, there is a positive. But now I'm not saying this is like hugely a positive because again, you have to adjust to the idea of where that coming from. Because again, unless that person's not being straight up forward of what they've been through, all that other stuff. Sir, don't take away that damn face. Because again, there are people that will admit this. If you haven't met that person, then you haven't met that person. Exactly. Exactly. That's why I said what I said, sir. That's why I said what I said.
I
There's
know.
only a certain few of people that will admit this, because
I
there
know.
are certain few people that still distinctly have a heart. But yeah,
And
but like I said, for that side of the notion of the conversation, I'm just saying like there are certain people that when they do think about you, they are thinking in the simple matters of regret because honestly, they know that you was a decent person. They just met you at the wrong given time in their lives and all that stuff. You can keep giving you that face all you freaking want to. Deal with your own problems on your own terms.
I'm just being for the red. I'm not for the red pill. I'm for the nuke pill. That's a new genre.
Exactly, and your nuke pill is biased as hell. Stay on the balanced terminologies.
I tried thinking of balance, but there's no need for balance. Just need to press the nuke button.
Yes. If that's the case, then stay off the conversation.
No, I'm gonna be in the conversation.
With your
I will
pivotal
be.
viewings and your
I'm gonna.
looks and your
I'm gonna
stares.
be the brutally honest person.
Yes, the brutally honest person. All of you are all fucked up. You ain't never changed, you whores, you heathens. Oh my god.
But I'm being real with it because it's almost like when you listen to so many podcasts and you watching so many of them gaslighted to the program. I did want to admit, yes, we effed up, and I'm beyond sick, beyond tired on hold man accountable when we have 4 to 5 to 6 decades of talk show tracking men on mainstream media, and these people who fail history classes, about 80 to 90% of them, because they don't understand history. They got short-term memory, and they'll be coming out, oh, but y'all don't check, man. I'm like, okay. A lot of job markets have been sabotaging men more to make it easier for women to get jobs for the longest. Not too many women are taking the most dangerous job these days. How many women do you see on a construction site? How many women you see under the ground working on sewer and pipelines? How many women you see climbing high-rise antenna doing all the let's
Okay, are
keep
we
it.
talking about the regrets of past relationships? Or are we talking about the gripes that men
I
and that
I
men
I
face
I
because
David,
it's
I'm
impacting
actually,
their
Wally has a good
child?
point here.
Like,
I
what the fuck
I
are we doing here? Like, okay, I'm out.
I
Thank you.
get it.
I just put my little point
No,
in, and
I
I'll
know,
be
I
back
get
if
it.
I have time.
I get it, but I'm putting it. I'm putting.
Hang on, David. Wally has a great point. You're pointing now. Ifs about men workforce. We're not
No,
talking about that tonight.
I'm not using
That's
work like that. I get it, but let me paint the picture. What I'm pointing out is this: when it comes to dating and relationship, it's easy for a man, in most cases, to admit when they're wrong, and they laying their blame on themselves and how you say down on their sword. In most cases, right? But on the opposite sex, in most cases, a very small percent of women are willing to be honest. What I've been noticing, a lot of women are so quick to lay blame, to gaslight, to lie, to fabricate, to backstab, to plan behind your back and make it feel like you never did enough.
What the fuck did I just said earlier?
I know.
What
I
the
know
fuck?
it's not. I say the subject today's subject is a trigger point. So like I say, I'm on nuke mode.
all right. Let's take a step back. Let's get Alicia in here really fast, and let's get a woman's side of this. So so the
Okay,
topic tonight is
what's the
when
question?
your ex is still on your mind. So the floor is
Okay.
yours. Go ahead.
Hmm. I have dealt with this.
Okay.
Um, I guess as I mature and was more mature as an adult now, like I've learned how to get past that. But when I was young, I would like it would take months for me to get over my ex. Um, especially if it wasn't me the one like even times where I have broken up with somebody, it's still hard to get over because you're just so used to that person. And you might not even care for that person. Like it's not the person, but just that being right next to you. That person that's there for you always. That would do this for you, do that for you, even though it's not, even though you know that person is not meant for you. Just that constant person being there. Um, so yeah, so it's taken a lot. I mean, sometimes in the past, but now I do find myself as I'm getting older, like somebody's not meant to be there for me. It's still hard, might be hard to get over, but I'm moving on faster because I have a different mindset right now where if they're not meant to be with me, then I'm not going to go
Okay.
chasing them.
So David, you have any comeback on that?
And
No, I don't have a comment that it's a good mindset because it's something that some had to take the time of isolation. When you have to isolate yourself, you have to double check and see what do you contribute in that relationship that led it to where it is.
So the
And
question I got for both of you right now is, I
go
want you
ahead.
to go first, David, and Alicia go. Is it normal? Do you think normal? Keyword normal. To think about your ex when you date someone new?
No, no, and no, I don't think it's normal. I think I should not have moved. I should not have moved on with that person if I'm still thinking about my
Okay.
ex. I'm not saying I never did that. I did absolutely do that, even when I still had my ex in my
A
mind.
rebound, in other words.
But yeah, but I shouldn't be out dating if I'm not ready to get over my ex
David, what do you think?
completely.
I will never consider to be normal because first and foremost, I hate to say that if you're thinking about your ex when you date someone new, you're bringing extra baggage to the relationship right there automatically without you even realizing, subconsciously speaking. This is why I find it strange. And when I say strange, I'm going to be logical and practical about it. This is why the data market is effed up. Too many people never take the time out and analyze what made the relationship go wrong. Instead
Hmm.
of doing that issue, first relationship, we got one baggage. Instead of taking the time to breathe and figure out what went wrong, they take that baggage, jump on another relationship. Next relationship may end up bringing three baggages. Because the one you have, which you haven't let go, you carry four baggage with you. Instead of take time to heal, you jump into another one. That's how you have four baggages. God forbid the third relationship you jump onto give you extra five baggages. So now you a garbage woman or a garbage man, carrying garbage with you wherever you go. And anyone you decide to date after that without taking a breather, they will trigger you. You ever notice that? Whatever they say or do remind you of the garbage that you hanging on from the past relationship.
Hmm.
Because you haven't taken the time out to process to see why this happened the way it did. What did you do to contribute to this? What lead to this trigger? What lead to that trigger? But instead, what happened? Then what the saying always say? After women dated a bunch of assholes and they found the good one, all the trash they've been pulling, they dump on that good one. What he had to pay the price for the bunch of a-hole you have been dealing with. Now, did he get a refund for the bullshit he had to go through? No. So, when you have a bunch of retard on multiple panels saying the bullshit that he's saying, that sometimes they need to get Johnny Cage, they never admit that they contributed to this mess, and vice versa. There are real men would admit, yeah, we contributed to this mess. We had to own up to it. Some will act like, well, I didn't contribute it. I just napped. Nigga, please.
David.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I apologize for that word. Negro, please. But this coming from both ends. Even when we have this conversation offline and you address the issue in person, you can tell we live in a culture that lack accountability. So it's easy to lie. It's easy to point blame. It's so super easy to gaslight because they're too weak to stand on their 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have people in the 30, 40, 50 asking the most dumbest question while I'm still single, or while I'm thinking of my ex, or while I'm keeping tab, I ain't gonna lie. A lot of my ex, I don't try to keep tab of them. Sometimes I hate to say that, I'll be honest. Sometimes I check on my ex to see they're doing better, worse than me, out of vendetta because you wasted my time. Well, I wish I should have never met you in the first place.
Right, David, you can't be spiteful either.
No, I know I can't be spiteful, but this coming from a long period of betrayal, backstabbing, gaslighting, lies, plots. I'm a human. When someone get to a breaking point, what do you expect? So what happened to all the nice guys who try to stand firm on their principle and trying to let things pass after they get to a point whereby something just snaps? What do you think happens?
I understand that, David.
I
But
know,
they're saying you if you wish evil on others, evil comes back on you.
I know, I know, and that what took me time
Hmm.
to, like I said, when you're in isolation, you gotta go to a state and trying to address every issue. These days, I don't wish that for nobody. I always say, what you sow is what you reap. What you do unto others shouldn't do unto you. That is my philosophy. When you do somebody dirty, prepare for the consequence. Either you like it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
That is my mindset. But if you
Don't
want
you
to
got
come
any
to a,
comeback on this?
if you want to come out there, apologize, oh, I am sorry, I'm gonna look like, don't tell me you're sorry. Tell that person that you waste time, you're
Um,
sorry.
yeah, I feel like from what David's saying, if you're still in that kind of mindset where you want to check bad on them and check to see that you're doing better, then you aren't over them. You really have got to look at how to get over them because it's not healthy for you. And they're definitely not thinking about you, which, again, this isn't how I always thought. I just had to change my mindset in dealing with people. And why am I going to waste my time, my life on somebody that doesn't even want me in theirs?
Bingo.
Because I'm not doing that anymore. I have too much for myself. And that had to come with learning how to be by myself too, which took a long time.
And do I say isolation is needed? Because let's be honest, I will never recommend anybody who went through a bad relationship to jump for another one. Take time out to yourself. Ask the necessary questions that are hard for you to answer. What do you do that you're not supposed to do? What you didn't do that you should have done? What do you contribute that you shouldn't have contributed? What you didn't contribute,
No, but see, that's not doing your mind any good by saying, what did I contribute? What didn't I contribute? Personally, for me, I'm not going to keep going
hmm
back and forth with that. What could I have done better? What couldn't I have done better? They're out of my life now. I'm really learning. I'm not going to have somebody
hmm
tell me twice anymore that they don't want me in their life.
the reason I mentioned those things because human nature, sometimes when we don't address our history, we end up repeating history, right? So what I normally do is I analyze and say, oh, I shouldn't have never done this. I should have never, like, you know what? I take note. The next time I see this one at a time, I will avoid it. Oh, I should have done it different. Maybe they would have come out better for me. So what I like, it's like a job. Every job you go to, you learn the thing that make you stronger, you practice that. You learn what make you weak, you leave that behind. So when you go to the next job, you perfect what you know that makes you stronger, better. And I do that throughout all my past jobs. So I realize some of what we do in jobs, we don't do that in relationships. What I find is strange. I remember somebody said something about it's funny how when you go to work, what your boss tell you to do, you don't question, you just do it right there and there. When it comes to relationship, you use a different dynamic, not realizing you're doing things backwards. That's why
Hmm.
I had to analyze my steps. I had to sit back and take note. What would I think when I make this decision? What would I think when I chose not to do this? What mindset was I in at that time when this took place? What can I do to make sure I don't repeat history again.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love history. When you read history or history book, you read what people done before you years ago, and I ask
I
questions.
have a saying like, don't let history repeat itself. I've been saying that since since 9/11. To be honest with you guys, and it always repeats itself somehow, in some way.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you as a woman or man
Hmm.
or ancient person that you don't make the same mistake in the next relationship. It's very simple. You know where you fuck up, don't do it again. So before we move on, let's play one video I have right set up here. Let me get my stuff right up here, and I want you guys' opinion on this.
When you really need to get over somebody, my favorite trick is that when you're sitting there thinking about all the good times, when you miss the memories, remember the disrespect. When you really need to get over somebody, my favorite
Mm-hmm.
trick is that when you're sitting there thinking about all the good times, when you miss the memories, remember the disrespect.
Go ahead, David. You're warmed up already. Go ahead.
Whew. Oh boy, remember the disrespect. Talk about pointing a gun at somebody else's hand. That, yeah. I'm sorry. Why you think both sides of our people have now decided to be alone? If you were in a long-term relationship,
Mm-hmm.
if you think about the disrespect, imagine what it does to your mindset when you by yourself isolated trying to get yourself together. Me, I'll give you a perfect example. I should never let this happen. I blame myself for this happening. I should have known, but I try to put a stop to that. I compromised. I allowed it. I was being too easy going. I should have put my those are thought process that goes through my head. So when I'm in isolation, I have to fine tune my philosophy. I have to fine tune my principles. You know, you know how we program our phone to make sure what we want our phone to do for us do exactly what we want it, right? You do the same thing with your TV, right? You do the same with your laptop. I have to reprogram my mind in isolation, telling myself,
Mm-hmm.
going forward, you will fix yourself regardless of may be. Don't sway to the left. Do not sway to the right. If there's a wall in front of you, headbutt it, knee it, and continue to go through, regardless how hard it is. Because it's easy to sway to the left, it's easy to sway to the right, and you end up going back in the same repeat cycle over and over. It's like you have to train yourself to say enough is enough. When you have people who in your corner who help you train from youth to do that way, it's easier to go through that. But when you're on your own, based on life situation, depending on when you catch on to it, as you get older, you have a choice. Do I want to repeat history again or say enough? Let me put a stop to it. This is why I take anybody who in long term, don't be quick to jump in a relationship. Take the time out to analyze who you are, what your goals are, what your agenda is, and stop making, I'm not saying firewalls, but contingent plans to make sure it doesn't allow you to repeat the same thing from happening again.
But in the day, it's up to you not to make the same mistakes.
It is. It is up to us. But how many people are willing to take the step and say, no, let me fix me first. Let me check me first. Let me figure out where my mind is at first. Let me make sure I know how you take a car to a car shop and want to fix all the dent and the hole and you do a complete overhaul. How many people do overhaul of themselves?
Probably
Oh,
none.
okay then. You get my point now. The term overhaul never come to human minds. Only very select few hold on to it. They
Hmm.
say, you know what? I need to overhaul this. I need to overhaul this. I need to overhaul my heart. I need to overhaul my philosophy. I need to rearrange my program. Like, you know what? This wasn't working for me in the past, and I see why. Company does that, right? When they're making too much losses that they need to overhaul the infrastructure, who you should let go, who you should fire, who you should keep, who you should promote, right? Look at your philosophy. What philosophy to get rid of? What philosophy should you get adjusted to? What philosophy to promote? What philosophy to get rid of? You have to do that with yourself. Sometimes it take long, sometimes it take short, depending how much garbage you are pulling with you. I know, like I said, I'm a nerdy eye person. I look my buddy to tell me I treat life like it's a video game because if you don't look at the big picture, you miss a lot of things. It worked me with that one 'cause I had to step back in the shadow and see the whole big picture. I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't pay attention to this. I wouldn't pay attention to this. This was in my face for the longest, but I ignored this. I should have known better. So each and every day, what I've been doing is trying to reprogram my mind. Restructure. Sometimes I may have some speed bump that get me distracted. I have to, you know what? Before I go further, let me fix this mess here. Before I go further, because if I don't fix this, it will repeat itself. So isolation is needed for human beings to do a proper overhaul. Because when you're ready, you know exactly what you want and what you need.
And but sometimes by the time you know what you want, you're a little bit too old too.
If it happened, it happened. But during the process, who knows? While you on your journey, you might find out right to come along with you. Because I hate to say this, maybe you have to remove yourself from the environment. That's the harsh reality. A lot of people don't want to admit. Maybe your surrounding, your area is not meant for you to be in. That is the harsh truth. If you're in a mud pool or a cesspool that have been contaminated and no one is cleaning it, it's not gonna take you to clean that mud pool, right? So it's better to do is remove yourself from that area and go somewhere else. I want to bring biblical aspect of it because if I would, I would say, look at what Jesus Christ said. He couldn't preach the gospel to what he did. He dust off his sandal and he moved on. How many people would do that? That's the hard
That's the
truth.
hard
Because if
because
you
if
want
you
to
want
change, if the place is not going to change, it's best for you to leave. Some people say, "Oh, I'm gonna keep on trying." You understand? You can't take a horse to the river and force it to drink. You can drink it, but will it
Yeah.
drink?
All right, David, hang on a second. Let's get Mariana in here for a second.
Ooh ee ooh ah ah, ching chang, walla walla bang bang. Ooh ee ooh ah ah, ching chang, walla walla bang bang.
All right, Mariana, we're talking about when your ex is still on your mind and when you're in a new relationship. What you got on that?
Well, on that, I don't want to remember any more of it, meaning that I bury it, like
David, shut
disappear,
up.
gone. What is that?
I said, David, shut up, not you.
No, it's basically all those torments, the insults, putting words down. Like it just it doesn't do any good, and it remind myself I'm better than this. So like I don't even like to be honest with you. I kind of hesitate. I don't like this subject to be quite honest. But I know that I'm not the only one face the music. But it's like I say, this is more for I'd rather talk to my therapist than talking, on the live stream. Just saying, don't get offended.
I'm not.
Um, and it's not easy. There are times, oh, there's good memories and all, but then there are moments it's like I got mocked. I got insulted. I just got to the point I said, you know what? I need to bury it. Like bury it like gone from it, like moving forward. Just I don't want to deal with it anymore. And it's because it's not good for mentally, for your mental well-being and everything. And you have to, I mean, sometimes you have to go through it in order to learn a lesson, unfortunately. But yeah, moving forward, I realized, okay, I made a mistake, but I have to move past that. And you know God gave me wisdom and guide me all the way to, you better than this. Get out of it. Get out of your head. You think this is the one? No, it's not the one. So yeah, just it's not something, that nobody, I don't want to dwell. I want to move forward. I just don't want to deal with, all that negative vibe. I will say the negative, it just didn't do any good whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right. And a question I asked earlier: you think it's normal to think about your ex when you're in a new relationship?
uh
Truthfully.
truthfully, I don't think it's normal, me, in my opinion, because I
Okay.
don't think it's, let's say if you're dating a person that not be fair. um because you can't compare and contrast from, the ex to the, if you're in a current dating, or who you ever you're in with. um I don't think, I know it's some people have, but I don't think it's normal. I realize, I had to erase, like, remove that, because I realize I don't need that pain, that mental anguish, because it doesn't do any good. That's my oven. Let me turn that off. I'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a moment
Yeah.
of cooking.
Yes, panakopita. It's
All right.
the little, yeah. So,
Go ahead, Mariana.
um, as I was saying, I don't. To me, I don't think it's normal to think, because the thing is, you have to remember the bad reminder. I hate to say that. Okay, like, I don't need to deal with this mental anguish. I don't need to be dealing with this insult. I don't want to be reminded. I don't want to
Mhm.
deal with somebody like that. I don't need somebody to tell me, "Oh, you're crazy." I don't need that. You have to erase that. Like, it's like, you can't deal with somebody, with an individual. You can't be with somebody that doesn't believe. Uh, you know, when I ask questions and I realize, okay, this person think, oh, I know everything. No, you don't know everything. That was a red flag, big red flag. Like, if you know everything, then you be God, I will say, but you're not. Like, it's frustrating. Um, yeah, just it's for me. I realized, I say, I just had to move forward. Basically, you have to, like, erase it. And it's like, okay, God has a hand on it, but you have to realize there's something better for you. You can't always think about somebody, because I know, okay, memories, but you have to remind yourself, okay, I got disrespected. I was not, was taken care of. Every time I ask for favor, it seems like a burden, or whatever the case is. I don't need to deal with that.
When
There's
you're
no,
in a relationship, it's not such thing as a favor. You do it because you love the person, or you care about a person,
yeah.
or you want to be around. Whatever the case is not something as a favor. If
Hmm.
if David was dating Alicia for argument's sakes, and
Hmm.
Alicia asked him, "Hey, can you take the car for an oil change?" It's not doing a favor, because that's a responsibility of being in a relationship, and that's what
Hmm.
people misunderstand. I hate when I hear in a relationship, "Can you do me a favor?" No, fuck you, dude. You're
Hmm.
not doing a fucking favor. You're doing it
Hmm.
because you need to and you have to, because that's your
Yeah.
fucking woman.
Hmm.
You're a fucking idiot for saying that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mariana.
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to do with the kindness of your heart, but sometimes when you do something and it's like, what do you know, like it just feel like, like, like they get frustrated, like, and then when you ask for something, they like, I don't need this rolling eyes, like, well, why it's so hard? Like it's not. And then you realize, okay, you know what, I will do this myself, and it's frustrating. You don't need that headache. And sometimes it's like, sometimes, oh, okay, this is how it is, this is how it is, it's unfortunate, but as I say, I don't want to compare, and I don't want to think about the my ex, because I have to move forward. I don't want to, like, compare, because then, I'm not going to give the new person a chance, and then you can't compare it. You can't compare it because everybody's different.
The
So,
biggest problem most people they don't disconnect themselves completely.
yeah.
That is the worst part when you don't disconnect. Like, for example, Alicia, for example, she has a son with her ex. There's never going to be a disconnect. Let
Hmm.
me ask a question, Alicia. You think it would be easier for you to get over your ex if you didn't have your son with him?
You mean my Tyler's father?
Yeah.
No, I got over him because he turned into a man that I knew I was not good for me mentally, physically, or emotionally.
All right, let me rephrase the question. Let's say he was the man for you and everything was perfectly fine, but whatever reason was, you guys broke up. All right,
Hmm.
timing, work, whatever the case, you fell in love, whatever the case is. Do you think it'll be harder for you to get over him because you had a son with him?
Oh, yes, definitely, because then I would have to get used to seeing him more than I would if I didn't have a child with somebody. Absolutely,
Mhm.
because he's in my life forever, basically.
You know what? Yes. So I think that's what a lot of people have a hard time with too. Like David, he has 16 kids. It's hard for him to get over his. David, I gotta do it for you. I'm sorry.
I was like,
You've reached
what?
your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
So
Oh, blading middle finger.
can't hear you, dickhead.
I know you came. I did that on
Yeah.
purpose.
But
Oh, I'm blading middle finger.
my point is trying to get to with this
But
is
I
go
do
ahead.
have to say, I did work harder at that. Well, it was a marriage, so of course I worked harder at that marriage, at that relationship marriage before I married him because of Tyler. Like,
Mhm.
if I didn't have Tyler with him, I probably would have left him way before I left him. But I worked harder because of Tyler at trying to change, trying to make it better.
You try and make it work no matter what.
Yeah, I tried to make it work. I mean, I even went to extreme, like, oh, if I marry him, oh, things will get better if I marry him. Yeah. No, I'm not that dumb anymore.
I won't say it was dumb. You try to make it work for your son. That's not a dumb idea. You're trying to, make something work for your son. That's respect right there. You know what I'm saying?
I know, but it wasn't a. I already knew then. Like, I already knew what was forthcoming with it. So me trying just kind of put me more in, at more mental and physically, like, not well, because I kept trying when I shouldn't have. Because it was better to be without him with my son.
Let me ask you guys a question. For two women and a grumpy old man over there, that one thing I never understood, I never understood something. I have my own theories behind this. I'm gonna tell you guys in a minute after you got your opinion. Like my ex used to say always, like, she had two kids. She had four kids, three with her one first, second ex husband, and one with her first ex husband. And she told me, oh, we were having problems, blah blah blah, and I ended up having another kid with him. But if you're having problems with the dude, why are you fucking having a kid with him? Her response was, "I was stupid." All right. So, what is your opinion on that? I'm just curious. I want to hear your opinion on that.
Mine was just hers. I was already having problems with him before I had Tyler. And I don't know why I thought having a child would make it different. More like bring a more responsible man, more like him becoming a better partner. Having a child would change that. But I should have known it wouldn't.
Hmm. Because when I asked her several times, she just said, "He's just stupid." But she had 2, 3 years before she even slept next to the guy. Mariana, we got on this.
What I got on that?
Yeah.
I know I don't have kids, but I think it's more an emotional attachment. I think if you dealing with, like if she continue going back to her ex with her child, and it's hard because it's a, it just kind of, you just basically planted a seed, I would say. And it's like, okay, but then you have to, I don't know. That's a very difficult situation, I will
All right,
say.
David, you're up.
The question?
Want me to repeat it again?
Yeah.
So my ex ended up having another kid with her ex-husband, but she was having problems. They haven't slept together for 2, 3 years at a time. All of a sudden, she goes to sleep next to him,
Mm.
and she ended up getting pregnant, like just like that. And I asked her, "Why did you have another kid with me if you're already having problems with the guy?"
It's funny that you give me this question to answer because it was almost similar to a particular female who I had interest with when I was living in Philadelphia. And she did just that, which extremely baffled me. And I had to sit back years after, like, why would a woman go back to the same person that you have been complaining for years that had no respect for you and then some, and have another kid with that same person? And reason why that question haunt me is because my mom did the same exact thing.
So what?
The reason why that question haunt me is because my own mother did the same exact thing.
Wow.
I questioned my mother for ages, but my father was no good whatsoever. Why go back and have two more kids with him? You could have just stopped it right then there with just my younger brother, end it, move away. But instead, she had two more kids, and the excuse was, I don't want to have too many kids with multiple men. I want to have all my kids under one man. And to those who don't know my childhood made me what I am right now without I'm in nuke mode. I could never comprehend why put your kids through the mental agony and emotional pain that doesn't leave them, or aka emotional scars that stick with them. And when I see a woman did the same exact thing in Philadelphia, not only did the guy disrespect you, he took your inheritance, your house that your dad leave for you. But another girl up in there, shack up and then some, you had to leave your inheritance to him while you take your three kids with you somewhere else. I couldn't. When I say my brain was going on a cannot compute mode, I thought to ask myself, is this a society issue that where I'm residing in, that people out here on the soil of the United States of America make the most shittiest excuses to make such stupid decisions to have kids carry such a mental burden whereby no therapy for X amount of years they have to figure out themselves on their own, which not only scarred them, God forbid they become psychotic, which I did not. Would make you want to question, why would I want to comprehend such logic when there's always been a way out, but you chose not to. I don't think these women understand what you put on your child mentality. Seeing that you chose a stupid idea over their sanity, so they can watch not only the mental abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse. You leave a emotional and mental scar that stay with them to their last day on earth remain, and they repeat their cycle. Some do, some don't. Some say, nah, I'd rather keep to myself. I don't like it. So when I see that thing and it that, and this is, I hate to say, I'm not trying to shit on only single mom who come out of marriage are exceptional. Anyone else is not exceptional to me. That is my logic. Because a lot of those did that intentionally. And those without kids had to, remember what I said earlier, take all that garbage that a garbage woman or garbage man decide to bring, but they want to deal with it, but they dump it on them. So what happened when that person decides to snap? Is he uncalled for? Is he not allowed to? Or it's okay for you to do what you do and not get no repercussion?
I think the two-way street there, David.
I know it's a two-way street, but in this soil, it's not.
Like, before I'm gonna give you the right answer to this, to all of you. Before I do that, Wally, did you hear the original question?
Sorry, no, I didn't. I got back. So yeah.
Okay, so I asked the panel a question, a scenario that actually happened to my ex. So she was married once, divorced, married a second time. At this point, she haven't slept with her current husband for 2 or 3 years. She ended up sleeping and having another kid with him. And I asked her when we were in a relationship, why did you have another kid if you're having so many problems with him? Her answer was stupid. I just wanted people's opinions. And I wanted your opinion. I'll give the right answer in a minute.
Okay. What is the opinion? Wait. Okay, so
Your
what is
opinion.
my opinion
So
on why she chose to get his kid?
have a third kid with his dude when she's already having problems with him, like 3 or 4 years having issues with him. Oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, please buckle up, get your popcorn and your sodas ready because this is going to fuck us up.
And you think I'm bad.
You are. You are. You literally are. You literally are. You didn't even came with the right state of mind today. You didn't. No. You knew what you're walking into. You didn't even came in the right state of mind. You didn't start it off on the right state of mind. Look, I only laugh because personally, yeah, you can do that all you want to. I only laugh because personally, honestly, there is no right answer to this. I mean, literally, there literally ain't. There is no correct sanity of why she chose to do this. Reality of just picking, like, of just going through and having the third kid, because this is just happens. I mean, granted, we can sit here and say, well, based upon the nature of these particular type of women is just their common thing of the tug and pull and then the reaction. And now I'm going to go off from there. But honestly, yeah.
So all you guys are right in a way, but the biggest part we most missed, she was cheating on him during that time. She got knocked up with another guy's kid, and she never admitted to me, but I know the truth. Obviously, she told this guy that was his kid, but it wasn't actually.
You know, I only got one thing to say. You know how they say misery loves company? This is why you just got to be very mindful about the people you choose.
I'm not gonna argue that one. Go ahead, David. Go ahead. Spit it out. I'm giving you the free panel.
Why do I feel like I gotta steal a phrase from BMU? It sounds like this woman or these breed of women was well breed from the shitty ass high school system that we had in the United States. Where how you want to say this? Going to BMU, you could throw a hot dog down the hallway.
Oh my God!
If I want to break it down and dumb down the English, one late comedian said, these type of breed of women are stigmatized. You could be an asshole. You could be a shithead. You could be a Hitler. You can be the boogeyman. You could be Jason. I'm looking for all the villains in DC, Marvel,
You can be the
movies.
systematical
You can
Joker.
think of. Thank you. All it take is one instrument to make you bend over and take it, and you will still do it. Like, are you serious?
So
I'm going to Kevin Samuel. You can't make this shit up.
So women like that only want one thing in life.
And what happened to Nick Cannon?
That's my point.
And what happened to Future? Shall we go on?
I mean, we all know what happened there. It's called they did what they did and they did what they did.
So we have a new type of agriculture called 304 farming.
I mean, you could call it that, or the modern
what?
day version of polygamy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this guy in here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president.
You've
Wrong button.
I'm not showing it right now, but yeah, I do got the hands up.
Mr. President, how are you doing tonight? How's the travels doing?
I am well. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, just another night, day 2. And I'll be here through Fridays looking, but I may leave early. Depends on how things go. It's just day to day. Just putting the work in. So
The only question I got for you before I ask you the major question of the show title tonight is, are you getting homesick yet?
no, not really. I mean, obviously I miss my wife. No question. Like I said, I have needs. Let's just say that. So I'll just leave it there. But hey, the job must go on. So here it is. But
yeah, yeah. These are hugs and cuddles, people. Hey, get that out of here!
this is the Sparta Network. So everybody's I'm sure familiar. We're all nerds and geeks here. So Star Trek, Ponfar, it's a real thing. Humans, we don't get it every 7 years though. It's more like 7 hours.
So the topic of tonight is, when your ex is still on your mind when you start a new relationship. I know you've been married for a couple millenniums at this point. But as a married man, when you hear that, what comes to your mind?
I don't relate to I guess a lot. I guess I've never. I mean, have I thought about exes before? Just at large, based on an experience or whatever. It could be just a random, or if I see them flash across, my social media or something like that. But I really don't harp on it too much. I think certainly I've been married long enough to where none of those things really matter. It's just, in fact, it's almost a blessing in that. You just appreciate what you really have. And so, I don't, um, I've never allowed that to affect another relationship because I was always looking forward. So yeah. So like I said, I didn't. I mostly I just came on tonight just to kind of follow the discussion. But like I said, I can honestly say I can't share an experience where an ex affected any successive relationship that I had, and certainly no ex certainly compares to what I have and wouldn't trade for any
So
ex or
from you, I'm not
anybody.
expecting an experience because you've been married too many years. More, what kind of advice can you give somebody? David, I am going to slap you over there in a second. Um, what kind of advice can you give somebody like myself, this knucklehead over here, Alicia, Mariana, Wally, or Hojo down the street?
Well, certainly, I can certainly understand that sometimes when you break up with somebody, there's not that sense of closure that you need. I do recognize that in people, and that if you don't have that closure, it's going to be difficult to move on with someone else. So I think that sort of mental work has to take place to really close the door, even if, especially if it closed abruptly, if the person just dropped you, or it just came to a sudden end and you were still invested in the relationship but the other person wasn't. That's tough. And that's certainly something where today, I know in my day, they didn't have like therapy and counseling like they do today. So I mean, those are things where you might want to entertain that, because again, when someone's literally pulls the rug out from under you, you think everything is good, and then you find it with someone else and they bounce, whatever. I mean, that's hard. That's that is definitely something that you need to deal with, and you shouldn't take it into your relationship. I remember just people I've talked to over the years, especially women. I'm just talking to them, and it's a weird kind of conversation because they start talking about some ex of theirs, and for some reason they kind of start talking to you as if you were the ex. I don't understand how it works, because since I'm a black man and you just broke up with a black man, and the way you talk to me is just like, look, and now sometimes I want to say to him, it's like, look, I'm not your ex. So why are you projecting because I may remind you of him or something? Look, I didn't do that to you. He did. So you'll take it somewhere else. But you can see it's, or sometimes what the scary thing is when they look into the third eye. You know what I'm saying? They're not looking at you in the conversation. They're looking like as if they're over here, and he said this and I said this to him like that. It's like, wait a minute, all right, he's like right here. You know what I mean? He's like right in your, in your third eye, and you're just off somewhere else. And again, you have, and I can imagine if I went out on a date with someone like that, there's no way I would go out with another date with this person. It's like, you are too damaged at this point to be trying to think about anybody else, because you got all this added trauma on you. So unless you deal with that, maybe you do need to be alone for a while until you figure that out. But no man, certainly no, man who values his peace wants to deal with that. And so until you get that, you're gonna be lacking, and then it's gonna be confirmation bias, because then you're gonna say, when the guy says, "Nah, I don't think I want to go out on another date," or whatever, you'd be like, "Well, you just like all them other men who just dealt me too," or whatever. But again, you're not ready to move on, but you just find a way to kind of to sabotage a potential new beginning. You sabotage that, and then when the guy leaves, that just validates your trauma even further. See, I told you these men aren't worth nothing. I try to get with one, I give them a chance or whatever, and they bounce. Well, what did you talk about? Oh, you spend all your time talking about your exes and how they dissed you? Yeah. you're probably this that pattern is probably going to repeat itself on more than one occasion. So I just think that until someone is willing to deal with that breaking relationship, or at least if you can't put it in such a way to say it might have been the best thing for you that you want with this person long term, and obviously they showed you, especially if they dumped you out of nowhere. Clearly, they showed you their hand, and so you should be, in a way, the way you should think about it, you should thank God, get on your knees and thank God that you're not with this person anymore. Thank God that you didn't. Hopefully, you didn't make babies with this person, because then you're gonna have that to deal with
Preach.
for 18 plus years. So if you didn't have any kids with them, and this is the man or the woman, because I see some what do you call it? Some hurt baby mothers. I'll be nice tonight. Baby mothers make hell for the fathers of these children. Even if their fathers want to be involved, they find all kinds of ways to disrupt that. So again, and that's why specifically, if she can't be your wife, she should not be the mother of your children. So you better zip it up, keep it up, absence. I don't care what you got to do. No babies. I wouldn't even leave it in her hands for the protection or whatever. No babies with a woman that you can't be married to. And I would give yourself, honestly, some time to be married to her. Married life, as I've said in the past, living together is not the same thing. Cohabitation is not the same thing. So my wife and I, we were very intentional. We lived married for 3 years before we began having children. And I would highly recommend that, especially if you're young enough, I would highly recommend that to anybody before you go out there and procreate, because that just messes everything up, not only the relationship that you're in, but again, now you get in the dating pool, whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to be compromised if you have kids. Because again, even as a woman, do I want to deal with, if I see your crazy ex, or we're on a date and you're talking about your crazy ex, and I tried to go pick up my child to spend the day with her and she found a way not to be there and stuff. I got to get the cops involved and all that. I don't want to go out with you. I don't care how fine you look. You might be the nicest salt of the earth, but I don't want to deal with that. So all these things you have to figure out. If you can get away clean, at least how you look at it. I would still say do the work, get the therapy if you need it, but how you frame it, it was probably the best thing for you. And another thing I would also say is, and again, we've heard this, shout out to Kevin Samuels. I didn't agree with him on everything, but the one thing he said is, if you're a woman, you should not spend no more, especially if you are marriage minded. You should not be with anybody for more than 6 months and them not proposing to you. If they don't propose, they're not serious. So why? But
6 months or in 2 years?
What's that?
In 6 months or in 2 years?
6 months.
What the?
I disagree with that personally.
If you're not listening,
are you sure that's what he said?
Do you know how many relationships
I
I've
don't
seen?
agree.
You've been with the guy 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. Y'all getting married. Well, we talked about it. And year after year goes on, and you wasted the best years, your most useful, fruitful years of your life on somebody who was never serious about marrying you. But you had the dream in your head that they wanted to marry you. Now, again, if neither one of you are even thinking about marriage, then that's a different ballgame. I said specifically, if you are a marriage-minded woman,
So
I want to be married by for longer than 6 months. If that discussion is not had, or he's not expressed his intent to want to marry you, I would not do it. And I'm setting a timeline on it. I think if you're serious about marriage, it shouldn't take no more than a year. Now, if you want to blow $50,000 on a wedding, that's your fault. And again, I've seen a lot of those fall apart also, trying to save for a big wedding as well.
Unless you want to be treated like a used car, and he don't pay for the lease, and he decided to. Let's be real. What he said is totally correct. So you spend, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, but he left you and met somebody else and got married in less than 4 months. So what were you? A placeholder?
I want to hear from Wally.
Let's
And
keep it
sorry,
clear.
I kept cutting you off. I apologize for that. I just
No, no,
want to
no,
get
no. Well, no, you were trying
go.
to, you was finishing off your statement. That I'm cool with that.
All right, so go
No,
ahead. Go ahead.
so again, I need you to, because okay, cause I sworn at the bare minimum he said at least two. Because honestly, for me, this is my thought process. Because when we talk about dating and everything else, and then we also talk about from the standpoint of even then bringing back the idea of courting. For me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, 6 months in, that is just an ideal of like, is there something here for me to even press forward with you and say, okay, let's make this an actual thing where I'm actually claiming you in this relationship. And then it's like, okay, from there, like 1 to 2 years, it's like, okay, yeah. It's like, that's when you figure it out, like marriage, hit it up, 1, 2, 3, whatever, however you want to do it. But he said 6 months in.
Well,
Okay, yeah,
again,
you're gonna have to send me that video. I need to make sure to remember because I don't remember that.
so again, I'll clear it up here. All right, I'm saying for a woman. So I got 3 daughters. Right now I'm going to exclude. All right, I'm talking about grown people here. So I'm going to exclude like my middle daughter. She met her guy. They were freshmen in college. They're just kind of getting stuff together. Again, different story. You're a grown woman, right? You meet a guy you with intent to marry. I want to be married. I don't want to just be out here just to be out here. I want to be married. When you meet someone, they should know within a relative short period of time what your intention is. Not necessarily towards them, but what your intention in dating is. I am dating because I want to be married. Now, if it goes above 6 months, and again, the topic of marriage doesn't come up, or if he's not feeling you in the same way that he would certainly like to go down that path, that doesn't mean you have to get married in 6 months. I'm saying if a guy is also intent on marriage, now once you do get
So
married,
Paul,
I would recommend that you stay married at least a couple years in married life before you have children. Because
Okay, so real quick.
that marital field is where you really see, do I want to propagate with this person? A lot of people, they put on their best mask on until you marry them, and then they stop looking good for you, or they stop being a Miss Freaky for you, whatever. Now it's like, okay, it's flannel in bonnets. So I'm just saying, so is she gonna be everything that she's selling herself off to be? You won't find that out until you actually met. If she's going home every night, she's got her own place or whatever, that's still not the actual real thing. Real married people get up with your breath funky, you pass gas in the bed together, you do all that kind of stuff. That's married life. You leave the toilet seat up, you do all the stuff that annoys married people. You do all of that. And if you can get past that and say, yes, I still want to propagate with you, then I suggest that's the best time to do it.
so
But
Paul,
too many people put the baby first, and you don't even barely know this woman. And then you're going to try to make it work after that. Again, you caused yourself a bunch of problems. And as far as your ex, so your ex is hurting you from moving on, again, you got to look at what are the things that you did that are causing this issue that you're now so tied up and invested in this person that you cannot move on. It often comes down to decisions that you make that you had agency and volition over. And for men, it's your pants, it's your zipper, and same thing for women. Either keep your legs closed or use the 21 forms of contraception that's out there that's to your that at your disposal. No babies.
so
And I have to
hang on,
agree
David.
with Mr.
I got
Bennett
pushed
on
back
this
here a
one.
little bit. I'm sorry, David, cut you off. I'm gonna push you back.
Okay,
So I'm gonna push
go
back
ahead.
here and explain to you why I'm pushing back. My first engagement, because I was engaged twice, if you remember, I told you. The first time was in under 6 months, failed. No kids. We live together, the whole 9 yards. You can shake your hair you want. Nobody does the
Okay,
whole
wait a
marriage
minute.
before,
Wait a
man.
minute. Well,
Go ahead.
Sparta, real quick,
Go ahead.
because now that Mr. Bennett said it again, I'm now understanding what he was saying. Because that's why I was sort of a little bit off what he was saying, but like I'm hearing it now more. Well, I don't know about your side of the situation or age time that you did it, but one thing I'm hearing what Mr. Bennett's saying is I'm thinking he's speaking more so to the later age grown-ups of men and women, where this is where he's saying 6 months in, this is where you got to hit it off, because at that point it's neither now or never. If you're younger, yeah, you're younger. Give yourself some time for that. But when you're older, it's now or never.
Yeah. So my first engagement was in my 20s. My second engagement was what was it? About 6 years ago. Both of them failed. Not because I did them wrong. I know that for a fact. I did everything to the T correctly. They couldn't keep their legs closed, one, and the other one was care about money. So my point is trying to get to, like, in this generation we live in now, the world we live in now, to marry somebody under 6 months is a diamond
I
in the
didn't
rough.
say that.
Well, wait a minute.
I didn't say that.
Remember what I just said. He's morally angling it for older people, though. Older people.
Yeah. I'm not.
I'm gonna say, look, I would say again, if you're 25 and up, right? I'm not saying if you're in college, you're in school, you're getting yourself together. That can be a difference. Although I do know people who got married in college also, or right after college, so that's certainly a thing. But I'm talking, I mean, a grown person. I don't mean where you don't want to be desperate where you got to freeze your eggs. I'm not saying that either. But I'm just saying I still think, even with today's generation, at 25. You should have certain sense and at least start to figure some things out about what you want for your life. You're not 18, you're not 19 or 20. You're 25. Hopefully school is out. You get your career started. You start to kind of figure out what you want life to be about. So that's what I'm talking about. But I'm not saying you have to be 35 or 40 years old either. Definitely in that case. But again, we're not talking about kids at that point then. So you still got to be of healthy childbearing years. And again, have some sense about what you want to do. But as far as what Peter's saying, look, Pete, I'm sorry. Look, I love you, bro.
Yeah.
But you didn't qualify because you said engagements. And engagements are a dime a dozen. Black women are the number one group of women in engagements. They're last in marriages. Like I've said to you before, like Ric Flair said, unless you walk that aisle, style and profile, you're not, it doesn't count. So unless you actually went and married them, it was just going along for a lot of years, but it didn't materialize, and it probably should have ended shorter than what you pushed it out to be. You wanted maybe something more than what it was.
Yeah. All right, let's come back here. Let's get Alicia and then Mariana after and get their opinions in here.
Okay. Honestly, and I always love everything that you have to say and give, Paul, in these lives. I totally disagree with this.
Done.
We are in a very scary world right now. I would never, ever want to try to plan to marry someone after just 6 months. It's too scary out there. There's real nut jobs. I'm in the dating world. I'm on dating apps. The person, even by the time you actually get to know them, and 6 months is just too scary for me. And maybe that's because I was married before. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I would be terrified to marry a man within 6 months of meeting them.
Well, first of all, that's not what I said. You missed what I said. I didn't put a 6 month timeline on marriage. I said if you're dating, what's that?
6 months.
Or at least, you need to at least be in serious discussion. If the man is not bringing up the idea of marriage within that period of time with intent, the marriage can take place.
Now I agree.
Because to me, an engagement, get back to what you were saying earlier, Peter, an engagement to me is a commitment to marry someone within 1 year.
Correct.
So you take 6 months from the time that you met them to a potential engagement, or at least talk of it, to then up to 1 year. You can still be talking 2 years. But I'm saying you got people who've been dating somebody for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You ask him, hey, are you even thinking about marriage? Well, we're just dating right now. We're just figuring stuff out. We just,
Oh, no. I
trying to-
disagree with that. If I'm with you for 6 months, I'll start thinking about it. A year later, I would say we're in our first, 1 year anniversary. Yeah, I will be more serious about it. I'm like, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying now. I thought I misunderstood. I apologize, Paul.
I
Mariana,
said
you're
it
up.
as many times as I possibly could. So I don't know where it got lost in translation, but I did not say
Hang on,
if
David.
someone he's got to be married in less than 6 months. I never said that.
Okay, so let's get Mariana in. Wally next, then David next. Okay. Go ahead, Mariana.
Yeah, to know the person, what's when you're dating somebody and you're gonna ask a question, do you believe in marriage? Do you want to get married? And let's say if the individual says no, okay, pass. You have to meet with somebody that is serious. Of course, between the line between 6 months to a year. And then, okay, we're going to get married. And, sometimes it takes a while to save money, not to go too extravagant with weddings. But yeah, you need to I had to meet somebody that is marriage, that believes in marriage. I don't want to meet somebody just to have occasionally a hookup or whatever it is. Just have the fun for it. You need somebody that is really, really want to get married, that, believes in, you know, that way. I don't believe, that if somebody lived together should be married, in my opinion, because you can't when you live together, the thing doesn't go very well. I think it's better off getting married than living together without getting married. um but it's not a lot of everybody has different opinions of a marriage, but I'd rather prefer somebody that's marriage oriented, somebody who believes in marriage, who believe that's God's covenant between a man and a woman to be stayed together. I rather, like I know that, as I say, not some people believe in it. Because I remember when I asked this my ex about it, oh, marriage is for stupid people. I said, oh, really? I say, you know what? The hell with you. I say, I don't want to, I can't deal with it. So basically, the ones I, encounter, I say, you know what? I don't have no respect for that individual. So I had to, as I say, move forward. But I had to look for someone who believes in marriage, and God has a hand on it. So I just don't want to deal with somebody and of course you take time to know the person, but of course the question you have to pop, do you believe in getting married? Do you see a future between us? That. And then if you don't, okay, pass. Continue till you find somebody that's really serious. And that's all I could tell you.
Wally.
All right. So going back to what Paul Bennett said earlier, because I want to ask you this question, right? Because I know in most cases are not like we talking about as far as just the brothers like having the mindsets or just the thought process of coming to marriage, but even from a sense of like guys like me and around my age range, amongst the 20s coming up to their early 30s, like do you think honestly like most of them really had that in mind at that age, honestly?
A lot of them, no. No,
And why
not.
do you think and why do you think that's the case?
Well, one, a lot of them, I think, are growing up later. I mean, I'm the oldest guy here, I think. So again, guys were doing at 18 at my age that guys are doing at 30 now. Um, Obviously, economics wise, the ability to support yourself, to live independently. I think those are certainly worthwhile goals for a young man, late 20s, early 30s. I think that's something you need to be striving for. And certainly, and let's face it, for a woman, that's something that even if she has her own career, that is something that she's more than likely going to look for. Can you add more? Could you take care of yourself? in your own feel basically the idea of living in your parents' basement and whatnot. I mean, if you can't take care of, because again, especially think about in a marital situation, if it comes to the fact that she has kids, who's going to be the provider in that particular situation? So again, these are things that you have to factor in. You can't depend on, even if she has a decent career, you can't necessarily count on her money, especially if she decides to have children and needs to stay home for a while or she gets sick or whatever. So you may have to be in that position. So I'm always telling guys, make sure you start, again, part of, if you want to be married at floor, what about yourself? What kind of development are you doing to make a better version of yourself and to start thinking and acting independently, so that when that person comes around, that certainly you would make yourself more attractive to that person and potentially more available. So again, if now I'm not saying, look, I like the idea of young people getting married. I'm a big on King show. I got this hashtag struggle love. I love the stories of folks in their 20s. You making 40K, I'm making 40K. Let's put our 80K together and let's get a shack and build up from here. Like I said, the longest marriages I know, they didn't start off having much, but because their oars were going in the right direction, they built up and they moved on from there. But now you got people who are gainfully employed, 6 figures each, but because they've lived such separate lives, they can't come together because everyone's not looking at the union. They're only looking at their own interests. So
Right.
for a younger guy, I would certainly say work on your grind. And if you find someone who's willing to go in that grind with you, I would prefer that, because what's also good about that is that that person saw you when you were on the come up, started at the bottom, now we here. They saw you like that, but they saw your potential and they said, look, I'm gonna rock with you and we're gonna do this together. But when you got it already, then it's kind of hard. Do they want me or do they want my money? They see my car, they see my crib, they see how I'm rocking. They say, "Oh, I want him," but you don't know what their real intent is. But so I don't mind struggle love. I'm saying get that 1 bedroom flat, get the sofa off the street, and y'all just do this thing until things, work on your jobs, your careers, your education. Someone's in school, get your stuff together, and 10, 15 years down the line, now y'all going to be in a much better position. So I love struggle love. But a lot of people now just like, look, I gotta wait until I'm making at least $100,000 before I even think about marriage. I think that's an extreme that doesn't have to be also. And more so than not, you're gonna be too independent in order to live together and cohabitate. Interdependence is a pretty decent builder of marriage. And when you both understand that you need one another, yeah, you kind of, things kind of go a little bit better. But if you come into a relationship saying, I don't need you, then a lot of times that gets proven out. They don't need you. And for a young man, get yourself together. And for some guys, look, you might wait. Because guys, you do have a longer shelf. A guy, you might not come into your own until you're 30, 35. But guess what? You can still marry a woman who's 25, who's still a child. Now, women, unfortunately, I didn't make the rules. Talk to the man. I didn't make the rules, but again, women by 30 said that geriatric pregnancy thing, that's some real stuff. If you don't have a kid by a certain time, you could be in you can be in some peril there. So you don't have time to wait. But you got guys, you can be 40 and still marry a 20 something. Now that might be on in this country, but for most of human history, that's how it was. Guy 40 years old is marrying a 20-year-old woman. As a guy, you can do that. So again, I said, guys, you don't have to rush it if you don't think you're able to do that. You don't have to keep grinding until you get to a point where you feel you can take on a relationship. But don't think, well, that you have to be in this particular position. But you have options. In your case, women, if you're 27, 28, pushing 30 or whatever, if you still want family and whatnot, those are things you have to consider. So I would be even more so to my daughters. I would be more so if I see a guy that they bringing in, and I don't think he's cutting the mustard, like for himself, not just that he wants to date my daughter, but for himself. Like, what is your plan for your life? If I don't see that spark coming on, I'll be blunt with my daughters and say, yeah, he's cool. He can be a friend and all that kind of stuff. He can treat me real nice, but he ain't the one for you. And I'll tell her that straight up. Whether she listens or not, that's up to her now. She's a grown woman. But again, I have certain standards. At minimum for me is, can you take care of yourself? Can you live independently by yourself? If you can't do that, if you can't aren't making your own decisions, if you still live with mommy and daddy and you need them for financial support, that's a no-no. For at least if you want to date or talk about seriously being involved with one of my daughters, nah, you got to be taking care of yourself, bro. Because my daughters, they're putting themselves in a position where they can take care of themselves on their own. So if you're not going to be about trying to do that, then I can't respect you. I'll welcome you into my home. If you want, I'll even mentor you if you want it. You call me for advices. I'm not hating on you, but I'm saying to you, brother, what are you doing with your life? And it's time to grow up, especially if you like your late 20s and you still haven't figured some things out. I'm like, where is that? Maybe you missed it. Maybe your father wasn't there. Maybe something was there, but you need to start for yourself. Get your stuff together because this world isn't waiting on anybody. And for anybody who knows out here, it's a mad
Froze.
expensive out here. People can't. It's becoming sink or swim out here. And so guys need to start figuring that out if they want for their own lives. Forget bringing another person into your life or children into this world. You really need to be about your business and getting certain things together. So I would always encourage a man to do that.
So, real quick. So, thanks for your reply. So, the reason why I asked this question is because, in full honesty, like I do agree that I don't think a lot of guys really think about it long term. And because even then, because even if you, let's say, some guys out here, they have their fathers or whatnot, I don't think so. They're really having that type of conversation. I say this because I have my father. We did not have that type of conversation. Now, did I have the influence though of wanting the idea of marriage and kids and like that? Of course, because there's things that happened in my life that eventually made me start thinking things. There's TV shows that gave me the influence on this stuff, and then of course there are just certain things in my life that made me experience that made me consider wanting to have kids. So it was just one of those things that just flowed into my life that made me think about a lot of this stuff for myself. And then it's like, okay. Plus also just seeing how my parents, consistently, how they react to each other in times and all that stuff. So it's like, all right, makes me think, yeah, I do considerably want this later down the stretch. But it's sometimes not something that's talked about. It's something that you just sort of just visualize, and then that's what men take, and sort of this is what they really just go off of, because most men are just reacting to what's going on in the timing of it all. They're not really thinking of this stuff, and I think that's somewhat part of the reason why we're somewhat on a disadvantage on that, because of course there is no thinking process. There's only just due process, and I think if you're not being, in a sense, analytical about your process in relationships, then you're not even really grasping the full visuals at this point. Uh, but pretty much like everything you were saying, right? Because it's funny enough, right? As you were saying this stuff, because it literally, like, one of my biggest influences in my youth, what makes me think about marriage, let alone the hard times of a young man, is literally Martin. Because literally, most of the things that you just said was literally him. When you see that TV show, him growing up, all his other stuff growing up, then Gina's daddy looking at him, scolding him, challenging him every which way. Don't see him as a fit man for his daughter, especially where she's at in this time, and all this stuff. That's just like one of the very much proven factor points of, like, this is where I'm saying, like, it's a lot, but it's just one of those things. Like, some people eventually measure up, others don't. And that's the thing about it all, right? And so, yeah, that's the one thing I just wanted to point it out right there. But yeah, go ahead.
Now, let me just say this because I'm glad Paul better broke it down very clear. But this where we are at right now, I think people want to admit it. We're living in a retarded liberal society. And we'll put a philosophy that have a high failure rate. Let's go back to Mr. Paul Bennett era. How many fathers do you think will let all these bozos get near their daughters? Let's put that in perspective, because we hear other ethnic groups that are saying the same exact thing of the old school era, saying, ain't no man could come near me unless were probably better by my father, than my uncle, than my brother. They wasn't playing that game, right? Those ethnic groups don't have a huge number of baby mamas. Let be clear, we in the global market, so let's stop the bullshit. Remember I said we in the set pool? If there's nothing good here and you want to continue to stay, it's your choice. But people are saying gradually and that you know what? There are people who don't match my value system. There's something I brought up several times before because if you're marriage minded and the crop you see here are not marriage minded, maybe you're in the wrong field. Maybe you have to remove yourself from that field and go somewhere and find people who are genetically and organically marriage minded. Not here trying to see how many hot dogs they can put in their bucket. Not here trying to see how many loose lead they can put in their black book. 'Cause let be frank and let's be honest here. That's what we have here. There's a small selective of us who are marriage minded. But you got a vast number of people who want to play around until their little Johnny no longer work anymore. Or the post office box got shut down for contamination. That's the real truth. I call it as I see it. Because if other ethnic groups are still improving in the marriage rate because they're raising their kid with strong values, right? They're very marriage minded. Shout out to We Ain't Signing. He said it himself when he met his wife from the Middle East. He was from a single parent household. He has to prove his worth to his ex-wife's father to show that he was worthy of marrying. But the problem is when they fell apart it's because they weren't able to bring forth a child. And she decided to say that is shame. At least there's a level of integrity still intact. There are some women that say, if I can't give birth to a child to a certain woman, they feel like they cannot be with this man because they feel like they're bringing shame to their father's name. Got to go back to their father. Now, how many women do you know that would do that thing in today's liberal society? Or do a lie? Or do a con? We have people with shitty ass value system. I'm sorry, you cannot teach them how to change it unless they want to. So why would I go to, how would I say, a crappy ass supermarket that had expired goods when I could go to Whole Food or Trader Joe and get better groceries? That being said, we have people out there going to the shitty supermarket, picking shitty men, shitty women, and complaining why that was your choice. We're in a global market. We're not in the good old day where there was no global market. Things are getting saturated, things are getting messed up. Now ask yourself this question. If you're married minded, you don't got time for the shenanigans or the BS, you don't want to collect bodies. Because I hate to tell you, women don't realize the more body you keep on collecting, the less value you become. This is quite on that is a system you can never overrun or outrun or reprogram. This is global. And that's what we and even men, we contribute to this mess and we try to come on these platforms and BS people and gaslight people and don't want to be dead honest about it. A lot of us are not willing to be marriage minded. We want to be as people so they can have their fun. And let everyone say there's no good women out there, but you the one who screwed up the market in the first place. It was your effort you did the thing. Think it with a woman. So if this is the market you're in and you can find marriage minded people, I hate to say this, ask yourself the question, how long you want to stay in the shitty ass market when you can take yourself and go somewhere else? The market in New York City is shitty, go to the Midwest. Go somewhere else. If the turf here is no good, then you can find your job. Cause I'm finding out people are finding job outside this country. Go to a different market. Look at the Chinese. They got a mass market where people are desperate to get married. They ain't trying to collect bodies. So ask yourself this question. Why are we playing this dumb down madness doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. Please explain that to me. I'm not interested in this BS. I'm not. That's why I say I am numbed. That's why I beat myself up for not sticking to my value, what I was taught at youth. When I came back to this godforsaken soil, I decided not to follow it and try to be liberal about it and get what I put myself into. So I take the blame for that before I pass blame on anybody else. So as I'm going through my stages, I have to tell myself I ain't got plenty of time. I ain't got time for the BS. Which I'm trying to teach my younger generation, my son. Let it be known. Don't waste your time. Stop the bullshit. You want to repeat the cycle? Be my guest. Because I took the time and years to invest wisdom in you and you chose not to follow it, do shit. That's just on your call. Mr. Bennett have been saying the fact that all the OGs have been telling me when I was growing up. But because one act like you know more than the OG, you do not know more than the OG. You're plain different and retarded. You're trying to prove something that had a severely high failure rate. If it's going to work. Who makes you think you could put a square peg in a circle peg and make it work? Like, are you that stupid? It's right there in plain sight with warning sign, but you decide to be boo the fool and be blind like you didn't know. Like, come on, give me a break. We have elders like Mr. Paul Bennett and many who would tell us the same exact thing. Do we choose to listen, or you say, man, they don't know better? Because I know my uncle would tell me, if you see a girl that I bring and the way she act, he will pull me to no. God forbid if my auntie put me aside before my uncle, they'll say, "What the hell are you bringing around here? You know our standards, you know our value. We don't want it around us." Sometimes we don't realize the old school value that bring integrity, respect, and much more. We don't want to follow. We want to follow our own independent liberal mindset, not realizing you're taking a deep dive into shit. That is the harsh reality. This soil produced a shit pool. It's not like we used to be back in the days when you had strong value women and strong value men. That level, that group of people who have strong value is very small. If you want to filter this thing, that two generation of erasure has to go. I'm not going to wait here. Because I say my main goal is go to another market where I can find people who still have those values. But I'm not going to fit in a shitty pool. This is why when I say I don't want to think of my ex, because when I think about that, I want to press the new button. Beep. I shall know better than that. I chose not to follow the principle that was instilled in me because I was thinking maybe it's outdated. No, it's not outdated. That's the harsh reality. Our liberal mindset is outdated. I want to have my fun and collect bodies. That's what it sounds like. I'm sorry. That's exactly what it sounds like. So it's what I call women who have more than three body post office. You are a post office. You collect all the mail, but never send back to the sender. And men are the one who drop in the mail and you allow them to drop it. That's the harsh. I don't care if you don't like what I say. I could care less. But that is the harsh reality. Don't complain you can't find a good man, but you see the warning sign. But you still chose it. Like, let's be real. They say don't drink, don't smoke. It will do this to your heart. But you still drink, but you still smoke. Knowing it would kill you. So what this all this word shit salad you want to give me? If you know cigarette smoking is killing you slowly, but you still do it. If you know drinking alcohol is killing you slowly, but you still do it, then don't give me no good for nothing excuse why I can't find a good man, why I can't find a good woman when you know it's killing your ass. You don't like it? Come here, I'll chew the bed for you to jump off. How about that?
All right, let's start getting our final thoughts. David, do you want to make that final thought, or you want to go?
I will add my final, make it real quick and quick, real simple. I don't believe it's a great thing to think of your ex if you know you're being worn ahead. You have people in your life who are giving you wisdom, knowledge, and insight, and you chose not to listen. And you want to prove that you know more than they do when they have a lot of life experience who can help you direct your path and make your path much smoother than whatever that you do. The Bible says what you sow is what you reap. But if you have the common sense to realize, let me put myself back and rethink things differently, then that ask yourself, what are your values? What are you going to stand on? Because you shouldn't be having too many acts, let's be real. That's why when you think about the act, that means you were doing something wrong in the first place. You were picking wrong in the first place. You were treating wrong in the first place. You wouldn't think with your real brain, you would think with the bottom brain. That's for both men and women. No excuses. So let's stop the bullshit, stop gaslighting yourself, and be bluntly honest with yourself. How about that? That is my final story.
Oh, I'm next. Um, well, with the title with the show that you thinking about your ex. Um, no. I had to, I had to bury that like long time ago to realize that I know that I had to know my self-worth. You have to know your worth, your that you're valuable, that you're better than that, that you have to think that there's always someone better for you, no matter what. Never think and compare, from the past, that negative experience to your current situation. I mean, I thank God I woke up and I realized I'm better than having somebody that tells me how to run my life. Um, but other than that, uh, it was a good topic, but even though I didn't want to talk about it, because it's more like I'd rather talk to my therapist. But other than that, it's moving forward. You always have to realize that you have to take care of your self worth in order to be committed in the marriage. Take care of yourself first. Um, you know, take care whatever it is from physically, mentally, and your finance before committing to a marriage. Um, and it's something that you have to know that your self-worth, that you're blessed that you're here, you're blessed that that you have a purpose, that whatever it is. But I know that God always put somebody in your life, and also to know that it's not like not everybody's going to be alone for the rest of their life. But other than that, yeah, I just take care of your self-worth in order to commit somebody that's willing to be in your life and somebody willing to be married with you. So yeah, that's all I could say. But other than that, just you know, take care of your self-well-being. Always know that you're better than that, and never have somebody put you down. Be with somebody that lifts you, not put you down. Um, but that's all I could say. And then that's my 2 cents.
Okay, I guess I'm next. Great. What can I say for my final thoughts here? Well, as far as for the idea of, you know, God, if you're ever thinking of your ex or some of your ex thinking about you, if you're ever thinking about going back, just remember one thing: always, always, always be very mindful of what the person say and how they move. Well, in this case, morally what they say at this point, because you really got to question if this is really genuinely coming from a good place, and if you're really willing to take that risk of walking that path again and dating them one more time. Because if you do take that shot, again, this is on your leisure of that choice of what they tell you and how you hear and how you adjust to all that coming from them. But other than that, yeah. What else I was thinking about? Because I know I was thinking about something else. Because a little bit more so what David was sort of saying on the idea of like markets, like the food market and stuff like that. So this is my only thing I'm gonna say, right? I agree with what he said in some cases, but also you got to think about this too, is that yes, it is very more mindful. Like, yes, would you rather go to a decent, respectable market like Trader Joe's or Whole Foods versus some bougie local market, or neither the typical Walmart or Target, whatever market you have, right? Wouldn't you not rather go to a decent one that gives you respectable food, real ingredients, all that other stuff? But again, just like anything else, right? Between the females that are in your everyday location, your neighborhood, versus the ones that are in better areas with a better mindset and everything else, this is all based upon choice of your living habitat. Because let's be honest, most of us never get to choose where we live, other than until we're able to. And in most cases, when we're growing up, we're dealing with what we have to work with. And in most cases, some of us are dealing with in the neighborhood of what we have as far as our options. But like anything else, the right person is what? A needle in a haystack, a dime a dozen. Again, and you got to dig deep to really know what you're really dealing with, and which most of us don't really do anyways. We see a pretty face and we just go with the juggler, and we just hope for the best. So there's a lot of things that go in play in here. But nonetheless, again, it still goes back to choices, and it still goes back to you analyzing what was best for you at that point in time, and if that person was best for you at that point in time. Other than that, all I can really just say is just be very mindful of the people you deal with, the people you talk to, and what you're looking for.
First, I want to say, like, I just want to always thank everybody uh, on here, and I appreciate everyone's input and advice, and I take a lot from what I learned from all of you. Um, as far as dealing with an ex and not letting them ruin anything going forward, I would definitely say always remember what Mariana said too: your self worth. If they're an ex, think back to the reasons why they're your ex. Um, Things that you did not appreciate, or maybe you were not treated right, and focus on those if you're having a hard time still thinking about them. Um, you're worth more, and make sure that you always know that. There's people out there for you still, and I believe that God will place people in your life that are meant to be in there, and God will also remove people that are not worth not worth being in your life. Um, Again, that mindset of letting go of your ex is the biggest thing I can say that I've really grown into. I've learned to just be happy on my own if I'm not with somebody, and I hope others do too. Like, take care of your own self before you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're not going to benefit from it. So always treat yourself good before you go and think about why something didn't work out with the next.
Step away a little bit. I mean, magnified here. Again, good topic. So I came in late on this, and if I came off a bit too preachy tonight, that wasn't my intent. Um, again, just kind of sharing my experience, what I've seen, and what is and advice that I give people in real life. So I'm not trying to judge people here.
There'll
All
be
I'm
no
saying
slander for
is
our president. Thank
getting
you.
over it. Okay, okay. If I'm the president, I want that guy. I want that person removed from. But now, man. Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it. But really, I think it's about moving with all this is about really moving with intent. What do you want? And being direct as you possibly can with the people who you're entertaining. And if those people aren't the ones that fit the bill, then move on from them. A lot of relationships go on because again, you want something to manifest or you want something to be when it's not really there. You're just hoping that people just grow into stuff. People aren't just gonna just grow to love you, or you may find some things in a person and things don't just magically disappear. So I would rather just be direct with people in terms of what my intent was, and then I was willing to let 99 go just to get the one I have. I just think, especially for women, I think they need to be much more serious about not letting people into your life, not certainly not giving them your body.
I think Paul froze. Give him another minute, and if he does, I'm going to go right into the schedule update. Yeah, I think he's frozen in time. All right, look up. Let me see what I can do on my side. Nope, still frozen. All right, if he comes back as I'm doing a schedule update, I will definitely let him finish his comment. Oh, yeah, he's hotel Wi-Fi. All right, let me get the schedule update. I was underprepared. I thought I have a few more minutes. Let me get to. First, I want to thank everybody who came up tonight. Thank you guys for donating your time, your energy, and your experience in this. So this week on tomorrow's episode on the anime show, we're talking about Bleach. David, you want to speak about it briefly? Not a whole 20-hour lecture.
Briefly, expect a good conversation because we will do like we did the last show. And I love the format we're going about it. And we're looking for new co-hosts, at least one or two females to make it more interesting. Pretty much. We need a balance.
Stop being desperate.
I'm not being desperate. I'm being real honest because the more people you have, the better the conversation become because you have multiple angles to look at things.
Yeah, I agree. So on Thursday, Shock the Scale. Breaking. Oh, hang on, pause back. All right.
Sorry about that, guys. Hotel internet. I apologize for that.
No, you're good.
I don't even know where I left off, quite frankly. I think I offered an apology if I offended anyone. It wasn't my intent. To which Wally was dealt with. So again, thank you very much for dealing with Wally on that.
What the world?
I just heard those gunshots, and I thought that was that was over. So.
Wait a minute. So how do I defend and then I get shot at?
But in any event, but yeah, what do I say? Like I said, just take it with a grain of salt. Supermarket approach as always. But I just believe that again, women need to be more intentional. Guys need to be more intentional. And again, if you're ever trying to make it with anybody, you got to let all that stuff that came before. You got to let that go. Nobody wants to go into a date hearing about how bad their exes were. That is a tell, and people should run as fast as they can in the other direction. So until you're ready to let that stuff go, be honest with yourself that you're not ready for anybody else. If that's still going to be a major issue in your life. So again, try to let that stuff go. Think about the future, but be intentional. The reason I think why a lot of these relationships are going on 2, 3, 4, 5 years and no ring, or no wedding, or you're engaged eternally for 5 years, is because, again, you're not having the serious conversations that need to be had. And again, if you're not going to move with that purpose, then again, people will string you along for as long as they can without the commitment to it. And so I would always recommend that, again, be as intentional as you had, put some time limits on people, and be willing to move on from them if they're not willing to, looking to go in the same direction you are. So hopefully that was helpful. But thanks for the time. Good show as always, and appreciate everybody on this panel. I appreciate even the Eagles fan that I'm seeing in the back over there, but that's okay. We'll let that go. In any event, they're the
Thank
champ.
you. Thank
They're
you
the
very
champions.
much.
So I have nothing to say. They're the current NFL champions. So I got nothing to say. But I just
Yeah, I have a lot to say about those goddamn things. I want to burn the shit
I
out of that
know.
fucking thing.
I'm
Why are you
surprised.
gonna fly?
I'm
Why are
surprised
you
you
gonna
didn't.
fly?
I'm surprised you didn't notice it from the beginning.
I think you're banned from the channel. Paul, you want to speak? Do you want to speak briefly about your show for Thursday, really fast?
I've been so caught up in activities that I got to.
Check the
What's-
scale. The scale. Stuck on the scale.
The scale. Okay. Yeah. So it's gonna be about if you hit a hurdle, not being able to lose the weight you want. Again, give me some advice in terms of how to healthy weight management and whatnot, and just some strategies you can do. Again, supermarket approach as always. We're not the experts here, but
I think he froze again. All right, I'm gonna just finish up here. So pretty much, you back?
thanks. So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So on Saturday, we're going to talk about two iconic gaming IPs: Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat. Yes, David, you're going to be there. You like it or not? And on Saturday, on the gray area, Paul, you got to like this show, actually. This is going to be a fun one. How does a man put himself together?
How does
Dress
who?
code. How a man put himself together? The dress code, like not wearing sneakers at a club, for example, or
Okay, let's go. Okay, sure.
yeah, something a little more lighthearted this week. Except that, guys, that's all I have. Like always, it was a pleasure and enjoy when I have everybody on the panel. This was the Spartan Institute Network. I am the Spartan. He is David. She is Mariana. Wally, Alicia, and Mr. President. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.